everybody. Welcome back. Happy Monday. It's another Monday. It is another week. I was about to say it's another day. It is another day. It's Monday. And it's also another week. Whatever life throws at you today and the rest of this week, you have it, my friend. You got this. You're a first responder. Even if you're not a first responder and you're listening to this podcast, you got this. Remember, you get what you put out. If you start harboring on the negativity and, focusing on the dread, that's what the universe is going to give you in response. Again, I'm not saying you live in a bubble and everything is rainbows and lollipops all the time. You are going to have bad days, but we all have frequency, we all have vibration, and we're all energy. What you put out, you get back. And if you are struggling right now, or you know somebody that is struggling, FHE Health and their Shatterproof program for first responders is here for you and here for them. We have helped thousands and thousands and thousands of people over the years, first responders, and we can help you or your friend or loved one. The links are in the show notes. I want to talk about whether or not you should be alone. Now, let me put this into some context. If you are single right now and you are going through some hard times, struggling, maybe you're struggling with some sort of addiction, maybe you're struggling with mental health, or maybe you're struggling with both. Maybe you've just got out of a relationship, a long-term, short-term, and you're in deep pain because it is painful. I've been there. Should you be alone? Now let's look at the pros maybe and the cons. The pros, well, you have companionship. That's the obvious one. You have somebody to be with. You have somebody to talk to. You have somebody to cry with. You have somebody to laugh with. Might take some time. You meet somebody new to get to that point, obviously. But the bottom line is that you have companionship. Now, what are the cons? Again, this is just if you're single or you're out of a relationship, because trust me, I'm not an expert, but I've been there. I've been there. Should you be alone? I think, and again, what I went through, I'm using me as an example, is I got out of one marriage and I don't regret being married 2 times. Again, I have no regrets about anything because without those experiences, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And for the most part, I had great marriages, both of them. But things happen, as we all know, with life. But anyway, got out of one marriage, and it seems like pretty soon after I was in another relationship and then married again. And again, it happens. But in retrospect, I wouldn't change anything, but if I had to change something, I would have waited between relationships because I still had a lot of work to do on myself. In working in behavioral health, like I have been for a while now, I see people that are struggling and people that are recently broken up or they're having marriage problems or whatever, engage in infidelity, or maybe they're recently single and they're going through problems and they run back into a relationship. And again, to each his own. But my advice to you, my suggestion to you, would be to focus on yourself for a while. Now, what's a while? A while is different for different people. Say 6 months, whatever, but have a big chunk of time in between relationships. Because if you are struggling, if you're going through issues and problems, challenges like most of us do, until you are able to mitigate those, or until you're able to be at a good place, mostly with yourself and love yourself again and be stronger and more resilient, getting into another relationship is probably going to be problematic. You probably know people like this who run from one relationship to another and they're just never happy. They're always looking for that, golden ticket in a relationship. And first of all, it doesn't exist. Second of all, you're going to be much more happier and content with yourself and also the other party that you're involved in if you are comfortable with yourself and you're operating at your top level. And again, I'm only telling you this and I'm not preaching to you, but I've been in those spaces where I think, well, maybe I'll just get into a relationship that'll fix all my problems, even though I was fucked up. And that didn't do anything except bring more problems to me because the relationship invariably ends. And again, I'm not saying all relationships, if you're having challenges and you run back into one, is doomed for failure, but I would be willing to bet a lot of them do because you haven't worked on yourself yet. You haven't done the necessary work, and you think, having, another relationship is somehow going to solve all your problems. It doesn't. Rarely does. It's like the couple that is going through some marital problems or whatever, and they decide, well, let's have a kid that's going to solve all our problems. That doesn't solve any problems. If anything, it could complicate it, especially when you're at the breaking point in a marriage. And maybe you know people like this. I definitely do, thinking that having a child, bringing a beautiful child into the world is going to somehow solve all their problems. And it won't. Maybe, maybe Bigfoot exists and unicorns exist, using as an example. Maybe those are outliers. Anything's possible. But I'm willing to bet the majority of times it doesn't work. It only brings more problems, if you know what I mean. So again, the title of this show is Should You Be Alone? But again, it's from the context of all this stuff you're dealing with if you're single or recently separated or divorced. And I would say, given my experience, no, you shouldn't get into relationships. You should be alone for a while, whatever that looks like to you, but a good chunk of time to work on yourself. Remember, life is an inside game. It's not an outside game. I'm not trying to downplay love and relationships and monogamy and marriage. I'm not saying that, but it's inside. You have to find happiness inside before you find happiness in others and love in others, enjoy in others. Then you're going to be happy. But you got to find it inside. Got to be content, love yourself first before you can love others. So I hope you have a great Monday. I hope you have a great week. And we got some guests coming up in the future. You're going to love them. And if you want to reach out to me, please do so. CJEvolution.com is where you can find all my social media. And if you know of any great guests out there that you think would be a good fit for the show, I love self-help. I love inspiration. I love underdog stories. Most of all, I love, kind of serving and kind of catering to the first responder community, fire, Leos, corrections, dispatchers, deputies. I love military members. That's the target audience I really try to get to because we just need to talk about them more and more because a lot of them are struggling. So anyway, if you or you know somebody who would be a great guest, shoot a text my way, DM me. I would love to hear from you. Now go out there, conquer your Monday, conquer your week, and above all, be safe. Until next time.